It's Dr. Tony, your work life strategist for high level professional women. And I want to talk today about gratitude versus toxic positivity. And this topic is near and dear to my heart because many of us are doing it to ourselves. It is a kissing cousin to gaslighting. So, I want to give you some examples of when things can go wrong. And the best example I can think of was when I started today to give thanks when I saw my blood pressure yesterday. So, I have a gratitude practice that's either morning or night, or maybe both, where I am recalling wonderful things that happened. And I have a whole process for it because there's benefits to gratitude and doing it on a regular basis. And I'll share those in a moment. But when I took my blood pressure, hadn't done it recently, finally did it, it was 104 over 83. And my pulse was lower by 30, 40 points than it had been in a very long time. And anyone who's in the medical profession knows that that's kind of wild. I ride my Peloton, I've got thousands of miles on it. I get pregnant, and things went right off a cliff after my beautiful daughter was born. So I will share more of that journey at a later date. But what I want you to know is that it took a very long time for me to have normal blood pressure, not too long after giving birth. And my pressures were soaring, they were rising slowly. I felt terrible. I was holding a lot of fluid in my legs. And I know the dangers of, even after you have a baby, of preeclampsia and having a stroke or other heart problems after a baby is born. So it didn't make sense for me to ignore them. But what people said to me was where the problems began. But what I said to myself was just as bad. So I'm feeling bad. I'm having terrible headaches and worried about what could happen next. And I'm like, but at least you have a beautiful baby. But at least you beat the odds, and your infertility, look, you still got the treatment, and look, you still have this wonderful outcome. So when you should be worried about your health and should be able to feel those negative feelings, you're talking yourself out of it or beating yourself up about it. So I want to make sure that even though I'm counting we're counting our blessings, we're making sure that we remember what we're grateful for. We are not pushing our emotions to the side in the process. I'm allowed to still be devastated. I'm allowed to still be concerned, worried, angry, frustrated with the medical system, which is exactly what I was. And I'm allowed to be vocal about it. And people who love me are also allowed to hear me out and support me in the ways that I need to. And I want to make sure that you do the same and that you hear it from me what kind of phrases I'm talking about. So the number one phrase would be, it could be worse. You complain about your job. What does the person say to you in response? Well, at least you have a job. Or, wow, I wish I made as much as you do. It's fine. Man, if they pay me that much, I wouldn't have anything to complain about. Do you understand? Do you see what's wrong here? So I want to give you the clear signs of toxic phrases. Number one, they deny your negative emotions. You're a human being. It's okay to have some tough times. It's okay to say, I had a bad day at work. It's not okay for people to say, yeah, get over it. You'll be fine. They pay you enough to put up with anything. Number two, invalidating those feelings as if you have no right to have them is just as bad as acting like you didn't say that. So number three would be the guilt some of us have over having that feeling in the first place, because we're supposed to be just too busy counting our blessings to have any feelings that would be negative or for us to say a bad word about it. Number three would be shaming ourselves, shaming others. Like, how dare she have blah, blah, blah complaint when she's got it made, right? Another example would be when somebody will tell you quitting is not an option. First of all, it's always an option. I am a professional quitter. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a, There's a lot of times where your perfectionism and thinking that if you start something that you have to finish it is toxic. You're in the wrong place, in the wrong space, being treated poorly, and someone's telling you, well, we don't do quitting here. And I know I was raised in that type of environment where you start, you finish, but there are circumstances where that's not healthy. And it's okay for you to know that for yourself and act upon it. So I just want to make sure that you understand that although we're counting our blessings, we're looking at that blood pressure and we're so proud. We're not on medication. We're so grateful that we're getting better sleep. We're so grateful that we are in a different place and space. We also need to be super careful that if we are having an issue or if we are getting ourselves into a bad habit of negative thinking and patterns, that we address those. Because I'll tell you right now, it is so easy for us to be our own worst enemy, especially when we were raised to be type A. We're always going to make the mark. We're always going to fake it till you make it. Those sorts of things are not healthy over time. And I want to make sure that you understand that. I do want to share with you a few of the benefits of having a gratitude practice, because in real life, some of us do need to be giving more time to the positives and the negatives. There have been several research studies about gratitude. And when you put it side by side, they would do studies where people were writing down all the good things that happened to them or just jotting down a few notes each day, whereas other people were writing all the bad things and kind of chronicling the negative in their lives. The people who were writing down the positives obviously maybe felt a little better. They also said it helped improve relationships when you would speak out loud very specifically about what you appreciated in other people. So you can imagine how that would improve your relationships. But I really am worried about the relationship us ladies have with ourselves. The way we talk to ourselves, that secret ticker tape in your mind, that secret way where you're like, man, you're not struggling the way you used to. You really can't complain about anything. It's not true. It's okay to have a bad day, and it's okay to feel like you need to go lay down somewhere. It's okay to feel down or discouraged, because you are not the emotion that you are feeling. And it's really important that we don't label that in a negative way. All right. So please remember that you can lift your own self, but you can also bury yourself in worries. You can bury yourself in negative thinking. You can bury your dreams. If you're going to be your own worst enemy, no one's going to get on your side faster than you. So I highly recommend you shut it down when you start to tell yourself, oh, you don't have the right to be complaining today. Sure you do. Sure you do. But be careful when you have people who say negative things and you don't shut it down. They might get in the habit of saying what they really think and you don't. This can really start to cause problems in how you see the world. And I want to make sure that we talk about these sorts of things, because when you're the person in the room who's the leader, we're often told to grin and bear it. And I don't think that it's healthy. And I want to make sure that you hear it from somebody who's absolutely strong, absolutely capable, that you do not have to pretend like it's not happening to you. And you definitely don't have to get over it. Oh, just get over it. I'm thinking it's okay for you to grieve. I think if more of us were healthy about identifying things that have harmed us, and we were able to name that thing, and we were able to process the feelings more intentionally, we wouldn't be here falling apart unexpectedly, because we're kind of at a breaking point. I am going to be having a event soon. Inbox me if you're interested. You'll be pleasantly surprised that I think I'm going to do something pretty gratuitous, and not be worried so much about logistics. I just want y'all to start to feel what it's like to be around positive people who understand these principles and are not going to do anything but cheer you on, give you support, and say, me too, I understand. And here's how I got from point A to point B a whole lot faster. So reach out to me if you want to get in touch. And remember that really, you never have to feel bad about good things happening to you. And it's okay for you to have, it could be both and. You could be having a really tough time and also have things that you are grateful for. And I'll tell you right now, being off of all those meds, having all these doctor's appointments behind me, not being worried about my health every 5 minutes, not being worried about losing my life while trying to care for my child. I lost my mother when I was 3 years old, and I don't know how my life would have been different if she was there to raise me, but I do know some of the nasty things people said to me because I was in the car when that accident took shape, and I should just be grateful that I didn't die. That's just not what you need to say to somebody who's still going through it. You know what I mean? So, Dr. Tony Haley, if you want to join my group, Work Life Mastery, it's drtonymdvip.com. I haven't invited people to my group in a while, and I would love to have you there. It's really concerning that we treat each other this way, but let's start getting in the habit of shutting it down when we hear it, stepping in, even when it's ourselves, and calling it for what it is, which is kind of a negative practice that has come along in the achiever community. Oh, grin and bear, it'll be over before you know it. Yeah, the problem is most of us are in school or in a career grind for many, many years, and it's not sustainable to walk around wounded and work from that place. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. My next talk, we shall see, but I will be sharing some details about an upcoming event very shortly, and I look forward to seeing you there. Talk soon.